Meteor just dropped one of the biggest performance updates with Meteor 3.3. We're talking about 3 times faster builds, SWC replacing Babel, and firewatching that actually works across all platforms without those frustrating delays. But here's what makes this release a game changer. The team has completely rebuilt the bundler architecture and made some great decisions on how Meteor handles modern development workflows. I sat down with the Meteor core team to understand what's really happening under the hood, why they chose SWC over ESBuild, and all the performance improvements that are making developers' apps much faster, and in some cases, cheaper. Guys, you just did a new release now, it's Meteor 3.3. So what did you do on it? Because I remember that you guys told me about doing some sort of performance improvements, maybe a new build stack, so what happened?
Yeah, so in Meteor 3.3, what's our focus is to actually continue the revamping of the Meteor bundler. So we started in 3.2 into measuring with the Meteor profile command and identifying the parts that we could revamp and optimize. And Meteor 3.3 has been our way to actually deliver improvements on the Meteor bundler and speed up the build and rebuild times by about 50% on average, and up to 3 times faster in the best cases. So this has been our great delivery for this version that is now available for everyone.
And diving a little deeper into what you're talking, Nacho, you said that you now have what we're calling the modern build stack. We bring a new build stack, by the way. It's like SWC for transpiling and minifying, and Parcel Watcher for firewatching, and Smarter skips for legacy bundles. So why did you choose SWC instead of other alternatives like ESBuild or Rollup to replace Babel?
Yeah, there are several reasons why we selected SWC. First of all, if anyone take a look into benchmark nowadays, SWC is one of the top tools, and many bundlers are even adopting it. Maybe not SWC, but the language that is behind SWC, which is Rust, and it's a really fast technology that everyone is adopting, because it's not because of fashion, it's because the numbers are really well. And this was the first reason. And the second reason is that in the Meteor community, there are tools already that are using SWC. So for us, it was really good tool for us to adapt into the core.
An example of the SWC compatibility with our community package is the Zodern Minifier that we basically cherry-picked into our builder process. And well, it worked like pretty well. So just bringing the code that's already using SWC, we speed up in many times the build process. So the implementation was pretty faster than implemented from scratch using another bundler.
I have like a good scenario to show. Is like if you open the Galaxy now, it's using the latest. Yeah, it's not the latest because we already released the 3.3, but like it's using a 3.3 version. It's currently at the recording is using the RC, but we already saw the 50% decrease in dev mode, which is insane. Because it feels like super snappy. It's super cool to have this SWC thing working in a project that we can, like, it's big, it's a big project and we can see the improvements there. So this is the moment that I ask you, watcher, to go there and test this new version. Somewhere it would be how to install and use it. But for the time being, I think if you run and Meteor update to release 3.3, it should work.
Guys, how can people that are watching us now update to this newest version of Meteor and test this new modern stack features?
So by default, any new Meteor application that is using Meteor 3.3 will use the modern build stack. But if there is an existing Meteor application that migrates into or upgrades into this 3.3 version, they need to activate a specific configuration, modern true, within the package.json in the Meteor setting context. So this is the way to start using and see actually those build and rebuild times faster.
Once you update it, once you're using this version and these new build features, how can one understand and see the performance gains, how they can measure or compare with a previous version of Meteor?
It's using the profile tool. So basically you can run a Meteor profile and we will execute the build and bundle process, and we will give you as an output all the microseconds from each part we have in this process. Or you can use the Meteor inspect variable that will enable to getting a CPU profiling for each build and bundle process, and we'll give you a .cpu profiling file where you can open in that tools and analyze it yourself. So in this way, you can measure the build time between the oldest version for this new release version. It's an interesting thing because in this way you can measure how much time you are saving in the building process, and it enables you to calculate, for example, how much you are saving in terms of costs of CI cost, for example, because reducing the time, the building time in 3 times, in 50%, for example, for sure, since it's a considerable improvement in terms of time, you will save some costs in your CI. So using the new release that we are releasing right now, it's not about only performance in terms of time you will save, but in terms of cost that you can save in your infrastructure side.
Yeah, one other thing that I would also like to mention is that if you're using any Babel configuration, you will need to create, you should replace your .babel RC for a .swcrc. There's plenty of examples. They have it even on their site, on SWC site. So it should be easy, but we also have a docs section on SWC so that you can, most cases are most really basic cases, we have it there covered. So just in case you're hey, I'm not sure what to do here, there's that section there. And if you're really in doubt what to do, you can always ping us on Discord or on our forums. You can open a forum there, a forum topic, and we'll be very glad to answer your questions. So that's another take here. And please share your profile outputs, because it's really nice to see people getting to us and say hey, we did the migration and it's very fast. It's really cool to see, and maybe you got an error and we are super glad to address your feedback. So hey, I got this error, please let us know. You can ping me, you can ping Nacho, you can ping Italo, and we can go from there.
Yeah, we want to see your profile again. So our editor is going to write here really big on the screen now, we want to see your performance gains, and we're going to see them in the forum, hopefully. And guys, if I enable the modern build stack in my app and I'm using some sort of Babel plugin that SWC does not support yet or something like that, will my app break? Are there breaking changes?
No, definitely not. What we have tried to do into these new releases and new changes on the Meteor bundler is that they are backwards compatible in some sense. So if in the scenario that you are mentioning, if you have a specific Babel plugin that doesn't have support in SWC, those files involved that that Babel plugin is touching will fall back to Babel automatically. So you can have both SWC and Babel working on the same time. Of course, we encourage everyone to migrate or to see options, to find alternatives and switch those plugins in Babel to the SWC counterpart if they exist.
And I'm reading here on the release notes that Italo has adapted the minifier from Zodern Minifier JS source maps package to integrate it into Meteor core, delivering the performance gains that we wanted. Can you talk a bit about that, Italo? What is this work that you did?
Inside the build process, we have the minification of the files. That is basically trying to minify the amount and the size of your files, compacting and removing many characters from your files. And this process was being did by Babel, and we did it for all the files in your project. And it takes a considerable time. So there, what I did is Basically, Science SWC have a good compatibility with the community packages. We just bring a package from the community called Zodern Minifier from Zodern, and we just integrate it inside the core, so speeding up the process of the build in 2 or 3 times. So, and it's interesting because Science, it works like a plug and play. The chance for another SWC plugins works that works in the community, works in the core, in the future is really nice. So it was, well, a way to improve the Meteor build process, but it was to a POC in terms of bring community's package for the core. So if you have a package that you think it's pretty interesting to bring for the core, well, just open an issue and let's discuss it. Since it worked with Zodern package, it can work with your package too.
All right, and there's this other thing here related to WebArcs. WebArcs started builds Meteor generates for modern browsers, legacy browsers, and Cordova. And we implemented something here that makes this build mode skip webbrowser.legacy and Cordova. And why were we building for this specifically? Because these are optional now. If you want to enable, then you can.
Originally, it was we was building your application for all the architectures, but sometimes you don't need all of them. So if you are building an application for web, you don't need for mobile. So if you are working for both platforms, you can enable it manually. So it can save considerable time for the full projects that is building using our skeletons.
Regarding our CPU profiling tool, it says here that we add environment variables to generate and inspect CPU profiles. And also you did a guide for this, Italo.
In this release, we will have the CPU profiling, but I guess we already have published it. But basically this function is adding the Meteor inspect variable before you run your Meteor application. We will start to track all the functions you have in the build process. Today it's working only for the build, but soon we will create a feature on top of that to use it inside your application. But it gives you as an output a .cpu profiling, and a .cpu profiling is a visualization to understand how much time your functions is taking to execute, function by function, and what is the function that is consuming more resource from your machine. What is the nested functions that you have inside a function? What is the heavy packet you have inside your execution? So it's an analytical tool that you can use to understand the behavior of your software, not of your product, but your software in terms of code. So we are enabling it inside the bundle process today, and in the future we are thinking to enable it for all our products in the Meteor framework.
And we also have some news on the React side of Meteor, right? We added support for React 19, and there's some other deals there. Tell me more about that, guys.
So we had like a whole rendezvous around like use find, I think, and use subscribe, like because they're like at the same month we had like 3 or 4 PRs around those, and it was really nice to see, right, Nacho? Nacho helped bring back the CI to like compatibility and make it work like fine, and we could test those like performance gains on those hooks, and we ended up choosing the one that seemed like more suitable for the package. And the best part for it was like we now have support for React 19 in this SPA mode, all the bells and whistles for the SPA mode. You can test it today on a beta version, so like if you have the React Meteor data 4.0.0 beta 0, you will get to see it. It's cool. We're still like we have this breaking change on the use find now that doesn't have no dependencies, and you should watch it like when tested, and that's why it's a breaking change. It goes to 4 and give it a shot. My recommendation is to test one by one and not test both together, the update for the SWC update and the React. You can do both, but like I prefer to do one step at a time. Yeah, please let us know how it goes, because the React package is like, it's really cool to see, and it's really good to see when people give feedback on it too. So let us know.
Talking about testing and trying out this new version and the new tools, what specific parts or specific scenarios would you guys like to see from the community testing out this new release?
Yeah, for sure. In terms of amount of time they saved, especially in the CI, I think, and in the development day a day, because well, the main problem today is how much time it takes to have a hot reloading, and how much time it takes to developing the software in the day a day. The build is a cool thing. It's a more thing that affect the costs, but the frameworks is more built for the developers and for sure the experience. We are trying to improve the experience of the developers, and we would like to know how they are feeling using Meteor compared of the other alternatives when we are talking about the builder and bundler.
Yeah, like I feel like if you run profile, it's faster. It can go like, I discussed this week with Nachos. Like, you feel like if you turn modern through there, you feel like you're a profiler when you run Meteor profile. You feel it going from 20 to 10. But the most important thing is not the number, but the feeling itself. Like, you working there and you see, oh my God, it's this fast now. It snaps. Like, you change a place here, now it snaps and it's reloaded and it's working. So I guess this kind of, not feedback per se, but like the seeing you guys tell me, hey, I did this and it already refreshed and it looks good, thank you guys, is the thing to see. And like, if you share how these, like, there's this edge case that I would like to, that isn't covered for whatever reason, please let us know and we'll make a patch and we'll start working on it, because our goal here is to make your job easier and faster.
Easier and faster. Okay, so let's imagine that I'm a person that works in a company that has a big Meteor app, and I want to, of course, improve the performance of this app and figure out where are the bottlenecks of this application and so on. So I'm going to update to this new version. I'm going to set up the flag for to run on the modern build stack, and I'm going to run my app. I'm going to use the profile tool to figure out what is going on behind the scenes and what is faster, what is not. But are there any other ways of testing my app and figuring out performance bottlenecks than using the Meteor profile tool that you guys are aware of?
I think something interesting that they can use apart from activating the modern build stack is also to activate the verbose option on the transpiler, because even if they activate the modern build stack, as I mentioned it before, we have a fallback mechanism, and maybe there are some files on their code, and there could be few or there could be no files at all, or a few of them. They could see if there are some extra opportunities to gain better performance by adapting those files, identifying which is the problem there. Maybe they are using nested imports from Meteor that are not syntax compatible with SWC, or maybe there is like a Babel flag limitation, or whatever is the reason. The verbose mode will help them to identify if they can get extra gains on them. And of course, as we mentioned it before, any profiling work they can do, not only by running Meteor profile and get those numbers. When you use Meteor profile, you also get a log, and in that log, there is a breakdown, and you can see also the top processes that your app is taking. And if you share those top processes to the Meteor core team, we can identify extra opportunities in your specific setup that maybe we could address in the future.
Nice, guys. So other than these questions that I asked, are there anything else that we should highlight on this video that I haven't asked?
Oh, for sure. Keeping updated in the forum because in these terms of performance, we still having many things to improve there. This improvement of 50%, that is a lot. It's a lot, but it's just the starting. So keep it updated in the discussions about this topic because we still have many things to do there.
Nice. And what are the next steps? What are we working on after this version? If you can talk a bit about that.
Something that we want to do next is that, okay, in Meteor 3.3, we wanted to understand better the Meteor core architecture of the bundler, see how it behaves, and understand which are the limits of the Meteor bundler itself. So in Meteor 3.3, I think we have delivered great performance, but we are probably hitting some limits. And in Meteor 3.4, what we want to do is to continue relying on extra tools that works with faster technologies. The same way we have selected SWC as an alternative of the Babel transpiler and minifier. We also want to take a look into a more modern bundle like ESBuild or Bit and try to offload many of the processing that Meteor is doing to compile your applications for making a new and faster tool to do it for us. But the reason is not only performance. I think 3.3 delivered good performance in that sense. And in 3.4, we will continue doing that. But it's also about the features. There are many bundler features that are missing nowadays in Meteor, like tree-shaking, exports, file fields in packagization, and there are others that we want to bring it in as an option in the Meteor applications. And this version is going also to deliver this, the same way that any JavaScript plugin that there is available in the ecosystem will be able to be used, because at the end, whatever you can use with a modern bundler is going to be available in Meteor if it is using this modern bundler as we are planning to do.
So I'd like to thank you for the updates. And now it's time to thank our community too. So it's shout out time. We have here a huge thanks to the contributors of this version. Zodern, Nine Morello, Welking Wong, Poyoman39, Pedro Mariano Almeida. This is a new one, I guess. Harry Adel, Eric CM546. This is a new one too, I guess. Minha, Paulistica, P. Mogoyon, Perjep, W. Reisky, and Schlagers. Thank you very much, guys. I'm reading your GitHub usernames, and I don't know the names of all of you, but thank you very much. Meteor would not be so great without you. Thank you very much for the contributions, for helping us build this version and release this very important milestone in the history of the framework. And thank you, guys, one more time. Keep up with the good work. And yeah, see you on the forum, see you in the community. Bye.